Hey grad girls, my name is Maddie Birm and I am here to talk a little bit about what life is like with severe food allergies. So usually when people first find out that I have food allergies, they're always like, oh my gosh, that must suck. Like, what do you eat? Wait, you'll die if you eat eggs? um, and right now I just kind of laugh it off. Because honestly, I've never known anything different. When I was 4 months old, I was diagnosed with anaphylactic food allergies. My doctor told my parents that I was deathly allergic to all milk, eggs, strawberry, and shellfish. Thankfully, since then, I've outgrown my strawberry and shellfish allergy, but I've grown into a couple tree nut allergies, so that's a bummer, but I guess it's a kind of a trade-off. But yeah, so I've never known anything different other than not being able to eat the things that I can't eat. Anaphylaxis is just a big fancy word meaning severe allergic reaction. So in my case, if I were to consume anything that had milk or egg in it, I would have to be rushed to the hospital to get treatment, or else I could potentially die because my body just rejects it and starts shutting down. So my throat can swell up, I stop breathing, it's just a whole ordeal. But yeah, it's very serious. Even the littlest bit of my allergen can set off an anaphylactic reaction, and I can end up in anaphylactic shock. So pretty serious. Growing up with severe food allergies definitely presented its own set of challenges. I grew up way before the whole non-dairy milk craze. Restaurants were not well equipped to handle my food allergies, so we rarely ate out. I remember having my own little treat box at school full of Maddie safe treats that I would pick something out of every time somebody celebrated a birthday at school. Definitely made me very aware and have to take a lot of responsibility for myself whenever I was growing up. My whole childhood basically was centered around the phrase, if you can't read it, you can't eat it, meaning I had to read every single ingredient in every single food that I was going to put into my body. So I had to be a lot more aware and think about a lot more things than any normal person would when it came to the food that I was consuming. At times I definitely felt very insecure, kind of left out, like the weird girl in the room, like I needed special treatment, and that made me feel bad about myself because I didn't want to be a burden on anyone. I didn't want to feel like an inconvenience, but at the same time, those experiences and me having food allergies really put amazing people and an amazing support system in my life who taught me how to advocate for myself, and who were advocates for me. So it was a really sweet time. So these days, however, I have seen an explosion in the amount of foods that I can eat, the types of foods that I can eat, especially with the whole movement towards veganism and naturalism and eating very healthy. We love the non-dairy milks. I could go on for days about how grateful I am that I don't have to drink just soy milk anymore. But so that's been really awesome, and it's been really cool to see food allergies not be a taboo anymore and become a lot more common. And I've seen a lot more people step up and speak up about having food allergies or intolerances, or just even preferences about what they want to eat. And it's definitely had an effect on the way the world views food and food allergies. I've been able to expand my repertoire of restaurants, and from like maybe 2 to, I don't know, 200. A lot of restaurants are very accommodating and willing to serve people with food allergies, and they're excited to invite people with food allergies into their restaurants. Like, that's something that a lot of restaurants nowadays take pride in is being able to serve people who have food allergies. So that's been one really, really cool thing that I've seen even within the past like couple of years just explode, which is really cool. So one of my biggest things in life that I've had to handle is the fear of going to new places and trying new things, because I have felt in the past so limited by what I can and can't eat. But 2 years ago now, I had the pleasure of spending a semester. I was terrified. I was literally terrified of going over there and not knowing what to expect food-wise, not knowing what I would be able to eat, how hard it would be to find things and places that I could safely eat at, and not just eat, but find good food and food that I actually enjoyed. And I remember packing like half of a huge suitcase full of food that I knew that I would be able to eat, just in case I wouldn't be able to find things over there that I could eat. And looking back, it might seem silly, but that is just one of the realities that I have to experience on the daily, is just being prepared no matter what when it comes to food, because no one likes a hangry gal. However, whenever I got off the plane across the pond, I was so incredibly surprised at how well Scotland and the UK and just all of Europe was able to handle food allergies. They were so accommodating. Every place that I went to, I had no issues. Even with some of the language barriers, everybody was just so incredibly accommodating and nice and kind and willing to listen to me and take me seriously when it came to being like, no, if I eat this, I could die. So that was really, really sweet. And one of the best parts about studying abroad was having Riley Fred there with me and having her as a best friend and a travel buddy, and her being so willing to try out new restaurants, or try out restaurants that I could eat at and I was excited to eat at. And I'll never forget the day that we traveled halfway across And I'll never forget the day that we traveled all the way across the city of Paris just so I could go to a vegan cafe and get a vegan croissant and a vegan cappuccino. That is the definition of friendship. And I'm so grateful for that experience and that opportunity and her. Living with food allergies has taught me is that fear is a powerful thing, but you don't have to let it control your life. There are so many times where I could have not done something or experienced something because I was scared that my food allergies would hold me back, but I've always been grateful that I said yes in those circumstances and went out and did the thing because food allergies are just a part of who I am. It is what it is. God made me this way for a reason, and I think it was to make me intentional and flexible and kind and empathetic, because I know what it's like to be different and not normal. And yeah, I really hope that by sharing a little bit of my story that food allergies can become less of a taboo and more talked about and more common, and people become more willing to listen and take us seriously when we say, no, we can't eat that because we could possibly die. But until that day comes, I'll settle for a good oat milk latte and a nice stroll down the vegan aisle at Whole Foods. So thanks, guys.